What's going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck. Okay, so it's about that time to do a walking video. I'm outside. It finally stopped raining, and man, we're gonna check out this video here of, in my personal opinion, what seems to be the worst judge in America right now. The worst part is it's a Fulton County Superior Court judge overseeing the matter regarding Young Thug YSL RICO case. And I don't have any words, I guess, that I could express fully to merely justify my frustrations with what has gone on so far. I mean, this case has been going on for like 2 years. It's becoming one of the most expensive cases in the state of Georgia, which means that it's becoming a drain on our tax dollars. You have witnesses testifying and then being pulled into ex parte hearings and meetings with prosecutors and the judge and judges' chambers, but not including the defense attorney, who by case law, state statute, and court rule have the right to be a part of those ex parte communications. Really, it shouldn't even be an ex parte communication unless there's some sort of physical threat to his safety or life, if he's concerned about, someone going out and trying to take him out or his family out, and he needs, some sort of protective custody or restraining order. That would be the circumstances to warrant, an ex parte hearing where the defense does not automatically get the right to be privy to the communication. But it has to be a true physical threat, to himself or his life. I mean, otherwise, the defense attorney should have been there, and the judge should have notified the defense attorney before he even attempted to have any communication with the prosecutor and a witness that had already been sworn in and testified. So, I think a couple weeks ago, he tried to hold Judge Glanville, Judge Ural Glanville, a Fulton County Superior Court judge, has been doing this for over 20 years, tried to hold the defense attorney, Brian Steele, in contempt of court, and then incarcerate him for 10 weeks because instead of him addressing the ex parte communication, he's demanding and bullying the attorney to tell him who told you about the ex parte communication. As a deterrent, it was a deflection and a distraction from the simple fact that it should have never occurred. It should have never occurred. He should have never had the ex parte communication to begin with. But instead of him actually just trying to correct his actions and do things the right way, he doubled down on it and then demanded that the defense attorney tell him, well, you tell me the name right now. Basically, if you don't tell on the person that told you, despite the fact that it could have put his bar licensure on the line, the case was made that it was possibly a violation of attorney work product privilege. And the judge knows, he went to law school. He knows this stuff. It's not like that, you talk about both the attorney and the judge having gone to law school. They both took the bar. They passed. And they're registered members of the Georgia State Bar. And you don't know what attorney work product privilege is? And you're going to hold someone in contempt and sentence them to 10 weeks incarceration. That you skip the whole phase of a fine and a sanction here. You're talking about jail. This is the biasness of Fulton County Superior Court that I have been reporting on my channel. And I have reporting on it because I'm going through the same thing. My case with Fulton County Superior Court is civil, and it's in family law division, in family court division. But it's at Fulton County Superior Court. And I have been saying this for months, that this court is biased. I had 2 biased judges, one of which has completely ignored Court Rule 1000.4 in effect. So I'm not saying all the judges at Fulton County Superior Court are biased, but I've experienced 2 of them myself. And now we have Judge Glanville. So that's 3. That is 3 judges. It's 3 too many. That is being openly biased. And I'm not the only person that can say this. Like, there's so many people that can say Their experience with Fulton County Superior Court has been absolute biasness and prejudice. They're biased against you if you're pro se by force because you financially cannot afford representation. Oh, they're going to hate your guts then. And don't go in there and act like you actually read a courtroom. You go in there and you actually file a motion that seems to be coherent. Then they're going to falsely accuse you of trying to pretend to be an attorney. That's a federal offense. What kind of nonsense accusation is that? What are you talking? This is how they operate. And they take the side of their favorites. If you're an attorney and they like you, usually it seems like they gravitate more towards the petitioner, or in a criminal matter, they're gravitating towards the DA and the prosecutor. And this same judge, and you all can just Google case law and pull up other orders that he has filed or threats he's made on the court of record to defense attorneys. He's not doing this to both sides of the aisle. He does this to defense attorneys where he's either threatening to hold them in contempt and give them incarceration on minute things. The punishment doesn't even fit the crime half the time. And when you have a situation where he can't even fully make a case to even justify the contempt itself, and then turn around and try to sentence someone to 10 weeks straight in jail, you taking away somebody's liberty and freedom because they won't tell you a name when you should not have had an ex parte communication over a case that's costing Georgia taxpayers a lot of money for no reason now. Where is this case going? The distractions and the sidelines of this, it's almost got me lost and confused about the whole basis of the case to begin with. This is ridiculous. And you're going to end up putting yourself into a position, Judge Glanville, where you're going to be not only recused from this matter altogether, but you're definitely going to have complaints filed against you with JQC to be removed from the bar. From the bar and from the bench. This is ridiculous. And I fail to believe that this is the only time he's done this. That's what makes this so heinous. The fact that other attorneys have said he's made threats to incarcerate or hold defense attorneys in contempt. He never does this to the prosecutors. Just the defense attorneys. And if there are courts of records and transcripts that prove that, if there are two other defense attorneys, I think it was one or two other defense attorneys he's done this to, and there are actual court documents that substantiate that, that is a horrible precedence that he's setting. You're setting a horrible precedence by sitting here continuously threatening to hold defense attorneys in contempt of court and then incarcerating them. The only difference between the judge, Glanville, and this defense attorney, Brian Steele, is that Judge Glanville was blessed with the opportunity to be a judge. You both went to law school. You both have a Juris Doctorate degree. You both took the bar. You both passed, and you both have a license to practice law in the state of Georgia. That's it. That's the only differences between you two. You were an attorney before you became a judge. Do you not understand the precedence you're setting by having attorneys incarcerated and held to contempt of court? That's a horrible precedence. And now this biasness is definitely trickling its way throughout Fulton County Superior Court to other judges. So what is other judges supposed to think and believe when it comes to your deplorable behavior, where you are unlawfully having defense attorneys detained and incarcerated, and you've been sitting on the bench for over 20 years? What do you think what kind of message that sends to someone that's only been doing it for 3 or 4 or 5 years? You sending the message, hey, we could do this with impunity and no one can touch us. This is okay for us. The fact that you even think to do it once on national television is one time too many. But when there's documentation and proof that you've done it at least 2 other times and you've made the threats, it's egregious. What chance does someone like me who doesn't have a law degree and didn't go to law school, what chance does the average citizen have if they have to appear before you when you're willing to do this so easily to a defense attorney, to an attorney, period? So what does the average citizen, what chance do we have in Fulton County Superior Court when this is how you behave. If someone had to appear before you and they didn't go to law school and they don't have a bar license, this is terrorizing and threatening to the average person to think that if you appear before Judge Glanville, there's a 90% chance that you're going to be held in contempt and incarcerated for the most minute of things. That's what the average citizen would think here. The average tax-paying Georgia residents would assume and feel based on your record and your pattern of behavior and what you're willing to do on live national television. This thing has gone national. You have attorneys all over the United States of America that is just flat out like, oh, God. It's just the sheer incompetence of it all. The fact that you actually feel good at it. How are you sleeping at night? That's my question. Are you? Does this give you peace in your mind when you go to bed? Because I can't fathom how you think this is okay. You are about to take this man from his family for 10 weekends in a row for no reason at all. You didn't think about his family, his wife, his children. If he has any, I don't know. But let's just say he does. He has somebody out there that love him. And you better take him from his liberty and freedom and his family. For what? Because he didn't want to tell you something that was privileged information. You bullying him into and coercing him to answering a question that is privileged, that he could make the case to be privileged. So he didn't even owe you an answer. He had the right to object to answering it. But this is coming from a man who has been from what I hear, a reputable attorney, a very good defense attorney at that also went to law school and passed the bar. So a person like me, just the average, tax-paying citizen in the state of Georgia, in Fulton County, would not have a shot in hell if we had to appear before Judge Glanville. You might want to, oh Lord. And it's sad to say that you have to have a heads up on a judge to the extent where you have to almost anticipate him threatening you with contempt of court and incarceration, simply because you're being called out on your nonsense and you don't like it. It's sad. But I wanted to check out this video with the 11 Alive News, because so far what's happened with this case, from the reportings and from what I've read with the filings, there was a new filing that was filed with the court July 2nd, a motion to have any federal court judge disqualified from hearing the matter on Judge Glanville to be recused from the hearing for the contempt of court. Not the entire case, just on the matter for the contempt, because he cannot oversee his own case as a witness and a judge regarding the contempt of court that he tried to levy against, the defense attorney. So Brian still has the right to a fair hearing, due process. He wants to have a hearing to have the judge recused from a hearing regarding him, ordering him to be held in contempt. And the Georgia Supreme Court, I told you all last week, I did a video last week, and I'm going to pull it up. And the name of the video is, the Georgia Supreme Court is about to get very busy. Because between Judge Glanville and Christina Peterson, this is a Douglas County judge that was just removed from the bench for 7 years. A ruling that the Georgia Supreme Court upheld based on the recommendation of the JQC. Between them two, I told you all, I said the Georgia Supreme Court is about to get really busy. I told you all that. I called that one. Because there has to be some recourse from a higher level court. Because they're going to have to reestablish the precedents that has been set simply based on due process and a fair hearing. Because he's acting with impunity and he's abusing his power. There are no kings and queens of a court. The United States is not a monarchy. If we do not consider the president of the United States to be a king or a dictator, then why in the world are we doing this with judges? We have 3 separate but co-equal branches of power here. And we don't consider our president to be king of the U.S., so we should not consider a judge to be king or queen of a court. The rule of law is king and queen of the court. And the judge is a mere mortal that is bound by law to uphold the rule of law. That's it. And it's a privilege and an honor to serve in a judiciary role like that. It's a privilege and an honor to be a judge. Some of those judges at Fulton County Superior Court are elected. You're there at the will of the people. All of you aren't appointed. So if you screw up, don't think you won't be voted out, because people are getting tired of this nonsense. You better piss off a lot of tax-paying voters. You're going to get removed. You think DA Fannie Willis is going to still get reelected? No. No. I'd rather see Brian Steele or his attorney that came in. That girl is a powerhouse. What's her name? Ashley Merchant. Ooh, child. I'll vote for either one of them in a heartbeat to be the new Fulton County DA. I sure will. I sure would. Because either one of them would make great candidates to be the Fulton County District Attorney. You go in and you do things the right way, and you remain ethical, and you remain true to the rule of law, you're always going to be honored by that. You're always going to get the recognition you deserve. Because it seems to be a very hard thing to ask people to just remain ethical. Just do the right thing. There was this juror that went viral for reporting attempted bribery. And it was like juror number 52. That's all I remember from that reporting. That reported to the court that there was somebody that tried to bribe them with some money or something. And they reported it. They went viral for doing what's right. You should not be infamous for sitting here openly willing to unlawfully hold an attorney, a fellow officer of the court, in contempt, and then incarcerate him for 10 weeks because he wouldn't give you a name. You would think that you would just be over that by now and just rescind the actual contempt order. Just rescind it. Is it that hard? You're a grown adult. No one should have to tell you to recuse yourself from any hearing regarding you unlawfully holding someone in contempt because you're distracting from the fact that you should not have had ex parte communication. Jesus Christ. And then you're sending this message throughout Fulton County Superior Court to other judges that haven't been on the bench that long, because I've encountered 2 of them. 2 of them. One of them did the same thing. 45-minute ex parte communication happening without me while I'm waiting in a waiting room. And then when I finally get let in, they're like, I don't know about that. You'd be amazed at who would do the right thing and have some level of integrity at some point. You'd be amazed at that. And do I owe you that name and information? No, the hell I don't. Because you shouldn't have done it. That's why I had to file a motion for a court rule to be exercised, for the case to be given to the presiding judge, and then she gives it to another judge for the final hearing, which is a violation of that court rule. So this is all the nonsense and buffoonery going on at Fulton County Superior Court. And it's not just one judge. That's the worst part about it. This is why you have to, when things like this are happening, there has to be some consequence and penalty. If not, it's a ripple effect. And it affects other people in cases that are being adjudicated down and being overseen by a judge at Fulton County Superior Court. I don't care if you're a judge or judicial officer. You are still upheld by law, to honor the law, to enforce the law. You're not king and queen of your court. This is not a monarchy, and we will not allow it. No one will. The U.S. is a republic democracy. Some of you have been elected and voted in through a democratic process. Why the hell do you think that now because you're a judge and you got elected, now you're a king or queen? I thought we got rid of the concept of a monarchy 400 plus years ago. Then we throw some tea in the ocean to prove a point. Come on now. No one's king or queen of anything. The rule of law is king or queen. Just uphold it and follow the law. Do the right thing. At least have a clear conscience when you go to bed at night. They do this and they don't even care. They have no consciousness of how this affects the person. Someone like him, this attorney did not go to law school and practice law to get to this point in his life where he is now being wrongfully incarcerated and held in contempt because he didn't give up a damn name. That's what this come down to. For ex parte communication shit, that should have never happened. But that's how often it happens. Where you have multiple judges at Fulton County Superior Court doing that. He's not the only one. So this is a habit and pattern of behavior across the board with multiple judges. They ignore court rules and they try to bend and manipulate case law and precedents that's been set for years. Some precedents that's been established for longer they've been alive. And they do all of that to try to bend and manipulate their point around just to try to get away with it. You're not, the difference between you doing this previously and now the world is watching and you're not getting away with it. And Daco came down 25 deep. It was between 20 to 25, I think Ashley Merchant said, plus herself. And he wouldn't even allow them in the courtroom, and it was plenty of space in there. But we got the right to a public hearing. Okay. Oh, Lord. The laundry list of court rules and laws and state statutes being violated, and they just do it like it's mindless for them. They don't even think twice about it. They don't care. They don't care. I'm still waiting on the legal objective reasoning as to why a judge, the one that had that ex parte hearing, meeting with in my matter, revocated my custodial rights. I don't give a damn if it was temporary. What was the purpose of it? For my 2 teenagers that can speak for themselves and make an election on their own accord. That's the nonsense that goes on in Fulton County Superior Court. We have to be careful on who we vote for, who we elect. We got to start paying close attention. I'm not apt to elect and vote for anybody at this point that can't not present case law to show where they have not done something like this. This is extreme behavior that he is far too comfortable with. Judge Glanville is too comfortable with exemplifying this type of behavior. You too comfortable with it. Your pride and ego is not on trial, Judge Glanville. And if it were, it would lose all day, every day. This is not about your pride and ego. You could literally just recuse yourself and stop wasting our tax dollars on this and let this case proceed forward. That way, no one has to worry about your contempt order, and it'll be put to the side and you can reverse your orders. You could do all of that and then go take it to the house. Go on a 2-week vacation or something. Recuse yourself off this case altogether and go on a 2-week vacation. Go to Jamaica or the Bahamas or something. You would enjoy a day on the beach, like you're an island guy. Go out of town for 2 weeks. Take your family out of town on vacation and go get away from all this. Recuse yourself. No one should have to tell you to do that. You know that would be the appropriate thing to do. This is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Okay, all right. Let's watch the video. Ooh, child. I had to get that out because I'm going through the same thing, and I know how Brian still feel right now. And honestly, the worst part is I can't financially afford an attorney right now or guardian ad litem or anything. And I think in the state of Georgia, guardian ad litem, when a judge is sitting here trying to force that nonsense, it should be free. If I could pay for it, I would have. I would have been done and over with. Had to start a GoFundMe, and then they want to sit here and ask somebody to be incarcerated over. Stop it. And the court entertaining this, they don't challenge this stuff. They just let the petitioners or the prosecutors do what the hell they want. All right.
Well, tonight the future of the YSL RICO trial involving rapper Young Thug is in, limbo after a motion to take this case away from Fulton County. And 11 Alive's Grace King is explaining why the defendants want a judge outside of the county to weigh in.
What I want to know is why wasn't I there? Why did I'm going to hold you in contempt?
After weeks of tension, Judge Ural Glanville letting someone else decide whether he should stay on the YSL RICO case or recuse himself after allegations of improper conduct during an ex parte or private conversation between Glanville, prosecutors, and Lil Woody, a witness who refused to testify on the stand.
And he has been just pure entertainment, right? I've seen it. About 10 good minutes of his testimony, and he is hilarious. Especially when he turned around and asked that court reporter what type of shoes she wear. And then he looked at her and said, she wearing Chucks. And then he looked at what color they hair. White. She said they white. His whole point in that was to tell the prosecutor, I'm going to say whatever is necessary to stay out of jail. It doesn't matter if it's true or false. If it's the answer that I believe you all want to hear, I'm going to give you that answer. That's it. That is the premise of what he was trying to say. The point he was trying to make was, whether it's true or not that the court reporter was wearing white Chucks, if she would have said they were blue and they weren't blue, he would have still said they blue based on what she told him to say. That's the point. And how did the prosecutor not pick it up? Y'all went to law school. Y'all didn't pick that up? Y'all couldn't tell that his point in that was saying, whether her shoes are white Chucks, if she would have told me that they're black Jordans, I would have told you all they're black Jordans based on what she told me the shoes she's wearing. So you can look at her shoes and say, oh, well, they are white Chucks though. I mean, she's not lying about that. But if she would have said, no, they're black Jordans, then he would have said she's wearing black Jordans. Because that's what she would have said to him when he asked her, what type of shoes are you wearing and what color are they? So you can't say he's lying if he's asking her what type of shoes you have on, and she chose to lie about her shoes and the color and the type of shoes she wearing. Then that's not a lie. From him, he just relayed the information he was told from the court reporter about the shoes that she's wearing on her feet. That's his point he was trying to make. And all of these law school graduates serving in the DA office, the prosecutors, could not figure that out. So she just so happened to tell him the truth of what the shoe and the type of shoe and the color of the shoe she was wearing. But if she would have sat there and said, I got on black Nikes, he would have said that she wearing black Nikes. That's it. And then they would have been like, oh, you're lying. No, I didn't lie. I asked her what shoes she's wearing. She told me they're black Nikes. So that's not a lie. So that's him effectively saying, I'm not lying if I'm telling you all what she's telling me to say. That's the point he was trying to make. And that went over all their head. Y'all cannot be too book smart to where you can't use common sense. That's my whole point.
Did not include defense attorneys.
This is a really serious and scary moment for everybody involved in this case.
It is.
It could spell the
what did I
end
say
of the
about the
state's
average
effort
person
to
that didn't
pursue
go to law
justice,
school?
Or it could lengthen.
They would be in fear of appearing before Judge Glanville. People would be asking him to be recused.
Criminal defense
before
attorney
he even hear the
Joshua
case.
Schiffer, who isn't involved with the case, says the question now is who's qualified to make that decision. Fulton Judge Belinda Edwards immediately recused herself after being assigned the case, and with the new motion, the attorney for Diamante Kendrick is hoping Judge Rachel Krause will do the same.
It's alleging that due to Judge Glanville's existing relationship with the rest of the bench and his behaviors in this specific trial, there's no way an independent ruling can be issued by anyone in Fulton County.
Legal experts tell me time is of the essence because this case already has a jury attached to it. Judge Krause gave the state until July 8th, this Monday, to respond to those recusal motions. In downtown Atlanta.
So is July 5th? What's today? So Monday coming up. Today is Friday. All right. So we got over the weekend. You better be typing up some responses to all the motions you got to address Judge Glanville, when you could just simply decide to recuse yourself and save yourself all that headache and save us all our tax dollars. You could do that. But Judge Belinda Edwards recused herself because that's how it works. Because technically she's his colleague. They both work at Fulton County Superior Court. No judge at Fulton County Superior Court should want to touch anything involving another judge at Fulton County Superior Court. Just recuse yourself and save us all this headache. Because it would be questionable if you decide to give a ruling, and then just like he couldn't substantiate nothing he was saying, he's manipulating and twisting up case law. And I told you all he was going to do that. I said that man is going to go home over the weekend and try to create case law to try to fit his narrative. That's still not going to work because he does not have a point to prove. He is not right in that situation. He's just wrong, and he doesn't have case law or court rules or state statutes or Supreme Court rulings, which is precedents, or anything that could justify his ruling or his behavior in this whole proceeding. Nothing. There's nothing that you could even, God himself won't even support you on this. Jesus said, nope, You are wrong. You are all the way wrong. Right is right, but wrong is wrong. You're just wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. The end. You're wrong. Wrong. Nope. Not even God himself would help you with that one. Nope, you're wrong. You messed up. And the best way to correct this at this point, stop digging a hole deeper for yourself and recuse yourself. So I would, man, if I were anyone that had to worry about appearing before him, my case is civil in family court. But God help anybody that's got to appear before him after this. Because people are going to automatically go in and say, this judge has been biased and he did it on national television. Why in the world would I want to give him an opportunity to hear my matter and preside over my case, knowing how he can be biased and then threaten to just throw attorneys in jail for 10 weeks? You didn't even like, oh, it's just going to be 24 hours. Or he's just sitting there for a couple hours taking a nap. No, it shouldn't even been a ruling. You should have never held them in contempt. You didn't even allow him the opportunity to present a case, and then you lied about not having space in the courtroom. That 25 attorneys in there, man, they showed up deep. But that was a show of force to let you know that basically they're condemning your actions because it was unlawful without necessarily saying it by coming 25 deep. And he gets the president of Georgia DACO to come in and represent him. That's balling to me. That's how you do it. Good God, Lord, I wish I could get an attorney on that level. I love my attorney. I can't afford her. It's like this court is asking me to not pay my rent, to pay for a guardian ad litem. And I'm sitting here like, then they suspended child support and they can't tell me why they took custody, temporarily physical custody, why they suspended child support. They can't give me any legal objective reasoning on that. Everything is personal and biased and subjective and assumptions. I mean, it's just god-awful. Never mind evidence, police body camera footage, text messages, emails, none of that. Logic. No common sense in this. There's nothing he could say to substantiate holding this defense attorney in contempt. This is a judge doing this to a fellow officer of the court. You don't have a shot in hell if you're just a regular person and you didn't go to law school. Because most people, I ain't go to law school. I don't know them court rules like that. I'm forced to be pro se. In a civil proceeding, you're not guaranteed an attorney. But if it were up to me, definitely would have one. All the things that good attorneys should not have to go through. All the bad stuff happens with them. But then you get the ones that, like this judge here. He know he should have been penalized for that. And it seemed like that nothing's happening to him. And it's ridiculous. It destroys the morale of the court. It destroys people's faith in the justice system. You're setting a horrible precedence and setting a horrible precedence. You're setting a horrible message that somehow you're king of a court and you're just superior to any consequence whatsoever, and you get to just act with impunity. You can just throw fellow officers of the courts and attorneys in jail and incarceration because they didn't tell you a name. What is this? This is not a dictatorship. You cannot just ignore the rule of law and think that no one is going to say something about it. That's not how this works. And this is setting a horrible precedence because he's not the only one there that behaves this way, that acts with biasness. When I have to sit here and say, oh Lord, the court is extremely biased. I have not presented one piece of evidence in my case. They don't even know that their court rule is in effect. And if they do, they chose to not even adhere to the court rule. A whole court rule in effect. And it's like the judge just ignored it. Judge at Fulton County Superior Court just ignored it. But yet it's still, don't give me the chance to present one piece of evidence. The final hearing, a whole nother judge that should not have been there, reinterpreting another judge's order, as opposed to the judge that wrote that order reinterpreting her own order after she should not have even given the order when she knew she had ex parte communication with the opposing party and his attorney. Like, I don't know that happened. Are you serious? The same thing happened to me, Brian Steele. I feel your pain, sir. And you should seriously consider running for Fulton County DA. You would definitely have my vote. I will vote for him. I don't care nothing about no political parties, because political parties don't pay my bills. But I believe in doing what's right. And if you have somebody that is willing to go to jail for their client in the name of due process and being diligent and representing them, you have my respect all day. All day. As a matter of fact, make him a judge. Jesus Christ. And Ashley Merchant, whoo, child, bad to the bone. She came in there with case law. And you talking about in the matter of the same day he was held in contempt. 25 attorneys, at least 25 attorneys, came down to that courthouse as a show of force. And she came armed with case law, state statutes, made a whole argument. And it was like it was just easy for her. I don't even think she had to think hard about that. She was like, oh, this is nothing. Hey. She came up with that stuff in 5 minutes. But that's someone that is diligent to the rule of law and being competent in this. I mean, Georgia is already, the Supreme Court has already removed a judge from the bench, Christina Peterson. Worst thing is, she didn't do anything wrong. Are you kidding? And then you have people that don't read court filings sitting here trying to justify, her nonsense. You don't unlawfully incarcerate someone because they're trying to correct the marriage license. You know how many people make mistakes on their driver's license applications? So should DDS start throwing everybody in jail because they made a mistake on their driver's license? That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So at the end of the day, the accountability has to be there. That's why everybody is decrying that this judge should be removed from the bench. He should have his bar license revoked. At the very least, I'm saying he should just recuse himself from this entire case, go on a vacation, and let this proceed forward so we can stop putting tax dollars to this nonsense that refuses to end. It's been 2 years. 2 years. Just let it go forth. I'm not saying that the prosecutor don't have the right to bring forth the case to the court, but just let it go on and you recuse yourself. You are the hindering force on this, Judge Glanville. You are single-handedly the reason why it's halted. Because you should have never had ex parte communication. You should have never held this attorney, a fellow officer of the court, in contempt. And then you give him the worst sentence ever, the incarceration for 10 weeks. Because he brought forth a motion in good faith. You don't ask people to be in prison for exercising First Amendment rights and bringing motions to the court in good faith when they're owed due process. You're stomping all over our Constitution. And you're not king of a court. You're a judge. You're there to uphold the law, and that's it. And at some point, like I said in my previous video, you know what? Let me pull it up and show you all which one I'm talking about. This is the video right here. Georgia Supreme Court is about to be super busy. I did this 9 days ago. 9 days ago. As y'all can see, I'm reporting on the shame of Christina Peterson, the super stupid Mayor Tiffany Henry. I did this 9 days ago with that video. Georgia Supreme Court about to be super busy. Because you got these judges that are acting out of control with the biasness and the impartiality, the failure to remain impartial. And they have to be, at some point, the Superior Court has to intervene. They have to intervene. And they have to reel it back in. Because this cannot continue to go on with this precedent being set to this extent. Because at some point, it's going to get to a point where the legislative branch of government is going to have to intervene and put laws in place to put restrictions around the court so that judges don't continue to do this. Because we'll be at this all day. We'll be asking courts to remove and recuse judges all day if they keep doing what they're doing without consequence. We'll be at this all day. And then you have more tax dollars being wasted on courts, hearings, and cases that need to just proceed forward. And they're not moving forward because you got to wait. Now we got to wait for a hearing to be conducted to determine whether a judge who acted unlawfully that's trying to distract from the fact that he acted unlawfully with an ex parte hearing, failing to just simply admit that he was wrong with that, retract his contempt motion, and recuse himself from the case. Because at this point, who want to really see him still preside over this matter? At this point, yeah, now you just need to just get off the whole case altogether. And I said in that video that the Supreme Court is going to have to say something. They're going to have to give a ruling. They're going to have to intervene. And your colleague at Fulton County Superior Court cannot continue to hear and make a decision when y'all work together. You shouldn't want nobody at Fulton County Superior Court to tell another colleague, another judge at Fulton County Superior Court to recuse themselves. Because then what if he say no? If he don't honor court rules and precedents that's been set for decades, you think he gonna care about his colleague's order? Child, come on now. We have no faith or trust in that at all. No one does. You have so many attorneys that have done videos expressing their disgust. I mean, the show of force alone from DACA, 25 plus attorneys pretty much who say, oh, okay, nah, we ain't gonna have this. This ain't cute. 25 attorneys showed up. Come on, man. Just do the right thing and just recuse yourself. Put your pride and ego to the side, because that's all it is at this point. Because any other person would have been like, nah, I'm going to take myself out this case. I ain't doing this. Judge Edwards recused herself ASAP. She said, nope. Pass. Judge Melinda Edwards said, no, thank you, next. Nope. I'm not doing this. No, thank you. Next. Y'all get it to somebody else. I'm not touching it. And she understood the implications if she tried to oversee any matter concerning her colleague. Like, come on. Lord. All right. Well, that's my 2 cents on this. Told y'all so. And I told the Georgia Supreme Court they're about to get really busy. And if I continue to not have a fair hearing and due process given to me, it's going to definitely be an appeal as well. So you really going to get busy. Because anything concerning your children, you're going to fight to the death. I will appeal it all the way to the United States Supreme Courthouse if I have to. For my children. I sure will. This is ridiculous. If you're not going to give somebody a fair hearing and due process and you're going to ignore court rules, then yeah, it should be appealed if you sit here and you still choose to not be fair and impartial and remain objective. This is why we have a whole ass constitution that warns against being biased and being subjective. Your personal feelings should not ever become a matter of fact and land in an order, especially when you're doing ex parte communications with the other party without me. Concerning my kids, I gave birth to. These judges didn't give birth to my kids. They don't take care of them. I never agreed with a court telling me how to be a mother. And I'm the respondent in this matter. Trust me when I tell you all, I never asked for this. But now I have to fight because my custodial rights are being challenged for no damn reason. Something that just could have been a simple conversation between me and the other parent. And despite the fact that I have evidence to prove that I've tried to mediate the matter and resolve it amicably with a compromise, as I pushed for when we was divorced. I pushed for the mediation in my divorce in 2020. So how in the hell am I all of a sudden not willing to bring forth options for a parenting plan and custody of my 2 teenagers when I'm the one that pushed for mediation from the initial divorce and custody proceeding? We didn't have a trial for that. We mediated. And I tried to do it again in this modification. And as opposed to don't lie about stuff that could be easily disproven with evidence, documentation. That's insulting to the intelligence. And it's like you're insulting my intelligence by trying to literally lie about something I could just literally prove with a couple emails and a settlement option. And instead of the judge giving me the opportunity to say, here's other opportunities where they could have mediated the matter. We were ordered to mediate. I had to spend $130 for a mediator. Very good person. Very nice guy. I didn't even have the money to do that. And we didn't even last a full hour. And the other parents still kept saying no to every single thing. Court-appointed social worker gave a recommendation. They're rejecting that. He just wants what he wants. And the court won't even say you have failed to compromise, because you won't even accept the court-appointed social worker's recommendation either. To the petitioner. They're telling me that, and I have evidence to prove otherwise. I don't need your personal feelings in this. I don't need your opinions, because I am not going to sit here and even get angry about it. I promise to God I will just appeal it, and then it's going to go viral. I'm going to host a whole media interview outside their courthouse. August 22nd. It's the day of the final hearing. August 22nd. Should have been a final hearing with the presiding judge based on a whole court rule that I filed last year in December. Yep. And they keep claiming they read all my stuff. They didn't read my document. They ain't read none of my filings. I don't even think they've ever even acknowledged the fact that I have an answer and counterclaim. So, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, child. Either way, you all just look. Brian Steele, if you ever think about running for Fulton County DA, you have my vote, sir. You have my vote. And I wish to God I could meet Ashley Merchant. You are fantastic. And I just hope this Judge Glanville recuses himself. You gotta reset this horrible precedence and this example that you're showing to other judges at Fulton County Superior Court. You can at least do one right thing, and just get off the case. Just get off the case. Please don't force us to have to do this the hard way with having an outcry for you to be removed from the bench. But if you continue to sit on it, that's exactly what's going to happen, and you know that. So why put everybody through this misery for no reason? You got all this weekend. While you typing up your responses to all these orders that you've been ordered to type up for all these motions to provide by Monday by 4 p.m. You might want to think like, you know what? I'm just going to recuse myself because I'm ready to go out of town and this is a headache. Okay, whatever. I think most people will be okay with that. Just for the sake of this moving forward. Because this is costing taxpayers a lot of money in the state of Georgia. And nobody likes that. They said, it's the last thing I'm going to say. I enjoy watching the show called The Boys. The Boys. And that show, one of the infamous lines in that show. It's a good show, by the way. But one of those, the lines in that show was to one of the characters, Homelander. And the lady said, you don't need 50 million people to love you. You just need 5 million people pissed. And that rings so true. It's so true. Judge Glanville, you're about to piss off at least 3 million people in Fulton County. To a point where 3 million pissed off tax-paying voters are going to be demanding that you be removed from the bench. That's just, look what happened with your fellow judge over there in Douglas County with Christina Peterson. I think people are just exhausted of the injustice. I for one, want to have faith in the justice system, but I'm not going to put faith in a justice system where I'm seeing repetitively judges back to back to back from the same court be biased and fail to remain impartial and showing a prejudice. It doesn't, you're judge number 3 just with Fulton County Superior Court alone that I can personally see has shown a level of biasness like it's just on level 1000. This biasness on steroids. 3. You're not setting a good example for the younger judges down there. The judges, I'm not saying younger in age, but judges who haven't been, on the bench and serving at Fulton County Superior Court as long as you have. The fact that you've been a judge over 20 years lets me know that you know better. That's all it does. It gives me an assurance that you know better. So all of this that you're doing is unnecessary. And you have no idea how it's hurting people, how it's hurting Brian Steele and his family, how it's putting other defense attorneys at risk, how they're not going to have any faith in you as a judge. They're not going to have any faith that you're going to remain impartial. They're not going to have any faith that you won't be biased in any of their matters moving forward. No one's going to have any faith in you. And then the fact that you're being defiant and not just willing to recuse yourself makes it worse. Because at the end of the day, that's the easiest solution. You could just recuse yourself and save everybody all these unnecessary hearings and all the money and time is put into all of that. Just recuse yourself. But you're the one that's not going to have, you're going to have at least 25 attorneys with DACL alone that is never going to want you to preside over any matter with their name attached to it. They're going to automatically go into it and see you assigned to the case and say, nope, I want to recuse him. This man done made national history. We're not doing this. You done made history. No. And then you won't be overseeing matters at all. And then the Georgia Supreme Court going to be like, I guess it's time for you to retire, bro. Retirement should be the next word you use. I'm retiring. Like, no one will stop you if you decide to do that. But at the end of the day, this is an easy choice. It's an easy decision. Recuse them. That's it. That's something you could do without anybody having to tell you to do it, without a court hearing, and to reestablish some faith in Fulton County Superior Court in the hopes that at least 1 or 2 judges would do the right thing and be fair. I'm not saying all of them down there that way, but I've come across 3 now. That's not ironic. That's a pattern. That's not irony. It's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. That means that you have multiple judges doing this, and they've been doing it and getting away with it because they're still there. It should not, even with the Georgia Supreme Court ruling, precedent has been set. If your impartiality is reasonably questioned, a recusal can be requested. And you're putting people through the ringer. That's retaliation. Knowing that you should be recusing yourself. You're doing this intentionally to be retaliatory. You know they want you off the case. Get off the case. Just let that be it. Or not, the future of your judgeship down there is going to be real bleak. Because you got too many people requesting that, okay, he need to just be removed from the bench and disbarred. This is the history that you're making. And if that's what you want history to reflect back on you 10, 20 years from now, that's on you. But you can't get mad at anyone else because you brought this on yourself with the decisions you've made or lack thereof to not at least give these people the opportunity to allow this case to proceed forward with a new judge that can, now they're going to be impartial and non-biased because they already see the spectacle that's been created with this that made national news. You already have the DA down there, Fannie Willis. Honey, girl, why don't hire your boyfriend? Jesus Christ. And you won't get mad at people because they consider that to be something. There's something wrong with that. You don't do that. Everybody know that. You don't fraternize at work. There are other men on earth. Get another one. Either way. All right. It's my 2 cents. I do hope he recuses himself and just makes this easier for everybody. And apologize to this defense attorney and to DACL so that these defense attorneys can have some faith in Fulton County Superior Court, because otherwise people are going to go out their way to make sure that their cases don't get heard in this court, because this is ridiculous. 25 defense attorneys came down there as a show of force. Jesus Christ. All right, lady, look out. I'm done.